Hi, I'm Simeon and Lacy here with Dr. B at Plum High School. How are you today, Dr. B?
Fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good. Okay, so my first question is going to be, what subjects do you teach here at Plum High School?
Right now, I'm teaching AP Bio and Introduction to Forensic Science.
Okay, and how long have you been teaching or teaching here at Plum?
This is my 17th year at Plum.
That's great. What made you want to become a teacher?
One thing was I had my baby and I was doing research. The second thing was with research, I thought I could bring in a lot and teach AP Bio or Bio to that matter at high school level.
Okay, what are some pros and cons of being a teacher?
The pros is interaction with students. I really love it. The cons are when students and sometimes parents are disrespectful towards you.
If you could teach any other subject, what would it be?
I love bio so much. I just want to keep teaching bio, maybe anatomy, physiology, advanced bio, but anything related to biology.
Okay. What advice can you give to future people who want to become teachers?
Be dedicated, motivated. It's the future generation that you are teaching to, so don't take your jobs lightly.
Okay. For all the years you have been teaching, how has technology changed over the time?
Tremendously, tremendously. I have to learn new tech things, but it's fun learning it.
In your spare time, what are some things you like to do?
I love to read. I love to travel.
Okay. And this is Simi Ogan Lacy here with Dr. B at Plum High School. Now let's take it back to the studio.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Good morning, Plum High School. My name is Tyler Gallagher, and I'm here with Mr. Rock today. How are you, Mr. Rock?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
So let me ask you, what subjects do you teach here at Plum High School?
Right now, this year, we're going out and expanding my horizons. Currently, I'm teaching AP Chemistry and the Academic Chemistry class.
So out of those two classes, which one is your favorite to teach this year?
I can't pick favorites. Look who you're talking to. I like them all.
So what goals do you have for your students this year in both of your classes?
Well, I obviously want them to have a top-notch chemistry education. Given my background, I try to give them as much as I can and prepare them for the future.
What can you do to keep your students engaged in class so they're having fun while learning while still taking in all the information?
Well, I like to make chemistry kind of relevant to them. I like to make relevant comparisons while I'm going over stuff, and I like to add a little bit of humor and try to make it important in their lives and point out things that they touch daily that will have a chemistry aspect to it.
All right, a personal question here. What made you want to become a teacher?
Well, when I was in college, I was a chemistry lab assistant, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interaction with students, so I thought maybe that's an avenue I wanted to explore, and here I am 14 years later.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Well, I have two little children, and I like to spend as much time as I can with them, and we often watch Peppa Pig.
Family man, like to hear it. All right, is there anything else you would like the audience to know before you go?
I can name most of the characters on Peppa Pig, so she's a big part of our life right now.
Who's your favorite?
I have to say I like Gerald Giraffe.
All right, Plum High School, this concludes our interview here today in the G Wing with Mr. Rock. Keep it classy.
Hello, my name is Olivia Pernice, and today I'm here with Dr. Machoni, an AP Physics teacher here at the Plum High School. Dr. Machoni, how are you today?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. How long have you been a teacher here at Plum High School, and have you taught anywhere else?
I've been here at the high school for about 17 years, and prior to that, I was at Franklin Regional for about 2.
That's cool. What made you want to become a teacher?
I enjoyed, back in the day, participating in a peer mentoring program. My high school was pretty big, so to keep kids from slipping through the cracks, we had to have a pretty active mentoring program, and I enjoyed that as a student, so it seemed kind of a logical extension then to pursue teaching.
That's pretty cool. Next question. So not only do you teach physics, but you also teach Spanish. Do you like teaching Spanish?
Spanish is fun. It lets me use both sides of the brain in a given day, which I think is good for you. So something different and kind of a unique role here within the district.
What college did you attend and what major did you study?
I went to Washington and Jefferson in Washington, PA, and I double majored with physics and Spanish.
That's cool. What was the process you went through to become a physics teacher?
To become a teacher, you major in the subject in question, and after that you go through student teaching and then get involved in the whole application process and start your career.
It seems like a lot. When did you start the Horizon Club and what made you start it?
I started the Horizons Club at the high school about 4 or 5 years ago. Kind of in an effort to get different groups of students together. I noticed that within my physics classes I had athletes and I had students that were really into art or music, and seemed kind of like a way to get different groups of students together to pursue something and kind of enjoy something outside of their regular groups that they found themselves in. So that was kind of the original intent of it.
That's nice. Have you done anything with the Horizon Club that made a difference in the world?
We've been fortunate enough that we've raised enough money that we've been able to pay to have water wells installed in some different villages in coastal Liberia in Africa, which has helped in terms of health and wellness and productivity of different groups in small villages there. So that's been something we've been proud to contribute to.
That's really nice. And how long did it take you to grow your man bun, and do you use any specific shampoo for it?
I worked on that for about 2.5 years. It took me to get it to the optimal length, and happy to say I was able to get that cut and donated whenever it was time to get back to short hair. So fortunately some good came of it, and it was fun while it lasted.
That's good. Thank you for the time. That's all the time we have for today.
Hi, I'm Maggie Grice. I'm a Plum High School student here with Mr. Lazzaro, my former biology teacher, and today we're going to discuss his career as a teacher. So, Mr. Lazzaro, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. So, how long have you been teaching biology here at Plum High School?
This is my 8th year at Plum High School, teaching biology.
Okay. And why did you choose the route of being an educator for a future career?
So this is kind of interesting because when I went to college, I swore up and down I would never be a teacher. Both of my parents were teachers. It's kind of that rebellious teen thing. You don't want to do what your parents do. And then as I'm going through school, we're studying really hard content as biology because it's the pre-med track, and you're kind of working with students and they're struggling to figure everything out. And so ended up basically running a study group on genetics, and so I'm talking to my dad about it, and he says to me, well, you kind of sound like a teacher right now. And so that's what caused me to really start considering at that point, maybe teaching is the route I want to go.
Okay, and where did you get your education and why did you choose that university?
I went to the University of Pittsburgh. I went there because, as I said, I didn't initially plan on becoming a teacher, so I went there because of their strong biological sciences program, and I really liked being in the city, so it just kind of checked all the boxes for me.
Okay, and why did you choose to teach here at Plum Senior High School rather than any other school?
Well, this just kind of worked out. It was a little serendipitous in the way in which I got the job. It was I had done a couple long-term subs filling in for teachers for various reasons, and then the position opened up, a science position here, and it turned into a biology position, which just worked out perfectly for me. And now it's just kind of like I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Okay, and while you've been teaching at Plum, what have been some experiences that have taught you some valuable life lessons?
I think for me, the biggest thing that teaching those valuable life lessons comes to potential mistakes you made along the way, trying to engage a student in an effective manner, trying to get them to learn the most they can possibly learn, and then it not working out for whatever reason. And so when you're looking back and you're reflecting on what you did or what worked and what didn't, learning how to work and manage your way through those things and making sure you don't keep making the same mistake so that it's not the same student or it doesn't happen to another student again. You learn from it and you grow and become better.
Okay, and what are some of your methods you use to teach your students?
I try to keep things as hands-on as possible. If I'm just sitting up there talking and they're just listening, they're not engaging with the content, they're not engaging with the material. If they're hands-on, if they're working through the concepts, that's when they're actually learning. They're not necessarily learning if it's just me talking. They're just receiving information at that point. And the process of learning is the process of doing things with the information, not just listening.
All right, and if you could go back and change one thing about your experiences as a teacher, what would that be and why?
I think that kind of ties into my prior answer where it was about, those mistakes you made with students and how do you work through and improve upon how you're reaching out to students, because you're remembering that they are people and that they have their own issues outside of school, and learning how to help them manage that so they can put as much focus as possible to their classwork so they can be the best students that they can be.
Okay, and finally, at the end of the day, what is one accomplishment that you want your students to achieve?
I want my students to be the best that they can be, whatever that is. If it's, the best biology teacher, that's great. If it's becoming the best geneticist, if it's becoming, the best football player, whatever it is, I want them to be the best at it and having pride in what they do and making sure they're putting their full effort. It doesn't have to be science. It's just whatever they're passionate about, that's what they do their best in.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Lazzaro, for your time, and let's send it back to the studio.
Hey PHS, I'm here with Mr. Gilles today. How are you?
Good, Mason. How are you doing?
Pretty good, thank you. What do you teach here at the high school?
I teach two different things this year. I teach Algebra 1, mostly to 9th graders, and then a pre-calc trig to 11th and 12th grade.
Sounds good. Some people call you the human calculator. So what is the square root of 49,207?
That would be 223.
Ooh, it's pretty impressive. You are a Plum alumni. What kind of experiences did you have here at the high school?
Just like every other student. I mean, you have your good days, your bad days. I enjoyed my time here from 9th to 12th grade. Wouldn't have changed it for any other experience that I've had.
Absolutely. From your time here as a student, what has changed?
Obviously, mostly the building, the renovations. It's definitely a different looking building and hallways, but the environment and the community is still the same.
Sounds good. So when you were here, did you play any sports?
I played basketball 4 years. I played 2 years of baseball as well.
Impressive. What positions did you play in basketball and baseball?
In baseball, I was third base and pitcher, and then kind of focused in on basketball my last 2 years. Played kind of a shooting guard position.
Nice. How did your high school team do for basketball when you were playing here? And we know Mr. Richards was your actual coach.
Yes, Mr. Richards was my coach, so it's still kind of. I've actually had a couple of teachers as well being here that they're still teaching us here as well. As far as the team-wise, our senior year we did very well. We actually are one of the only times in basketball history here that have won a state playoff game during my senior year.
All right. Where did you go to college after here?
I went to Pitt Johnstown and I studied secondary education mathematics.
So everyone saw you beat one of Plum's best players, Walter, in a one-on-one basketball skills competition. So how was your college career?
Excuse me. I didn't have too much college career. I redshirted my first year, and then I played a little bit my second year, which has been my first year of eligibility, but it was my sophomore year. And then after that, just focused in on college education-wise and didn't finish playing at the college level.
There you have it, PHS. Back to you in the studio.
Hi, I'm Mark Glover here with Mrs. Macpherson, or Miss M, as some like to call her. So, what classes do you teach?
I teach all the computer science classes, Computer Science A, which is an AP class, AP Computer Science Principles, the game design classes, and the coding with Python classes.
That is awesome. But what class do you enjoy teaching the most?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to go back and say I enjoy teaching pre-calc the most, going back to my math roots, but I do enjoy teaching all of the coding classes. CSA is probably the most challenging.
So that's the best computer science class to teach, you think?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure. And what class was your favorite in high school?
Concert band.
What'd you play?
Which year?
I guess all the years.
I played clarinet and alto saxophone, and then I played a little bit of flute in the flute choir and bassoon in orchestra.
What was your best, you think?
My best. Well, clarinet was my initial instrument,
Okay.
and then I just felt like picking up the other ones.
And where did you go to college, and what is your degree?
I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and my degree is a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering with a minor in Bioengineering.
Sounds very hard to get, was it?
It was challenging.
Okay. And did you always see yourself being a science or math teacher?
Actually, yes. I went and had a time capsule that I made in, I don't know, maybe 6th grade. And in there, when I got to open it up, when I was 24, I think, I had in there that I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, okay. Lifelong dream. What was it like teaching physics for the first time?
Challenging. Stepping in mid-year into something that I taught for a month, maybe 6 years before that. But it was just brushing up on old skills.
Oh, yeah. So you think you did pretty well when you taught it?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. And what made you want to teach a plum?
It was 8 minutes from my house.
Perfect. Easy commute. And if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Outer space.
Oh, like Mars, Elon Musk type stuff?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all we have. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mark Glover, Miss M. Signing off. I don't know what to say at the
Good afternoon, PHS. I'm here with high school math teacher, Mr. Miller. How you doing today, Mr. Miller?
I'm always good.
I like to hear it. Today I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Is that all right?
That's okay by me.
All right, question number 1. What inspired you to be a teacher, and did something specific inspire you?
Well, I didn't really want to teach. I didn't go to college to teach. I went to college as a chemistry major at Clemson University, and then after about 2.5 years, I decided to leave the field of chemistry because it was taking up too much of my time in the afternoons with practice for wrestling. So I went into math because it was the only other field that all my credits transferred. So I changed to a math major and graduated and worked in Philadelphia in the field of mathematics and accounting for 2 years and got sick of it because I didn't like it. It was boring. I went back to school to teach.
Very interesting. Question number 2. You answered question number 2. Question number 3. Did you teach anywhere else, and if so, how does it compare to Plum?
I started my teaching career in college when I was getting my master's degree in education at Penn Trafford High School. It's very comparable to Plum High School. I think you guys know that. They're a little bit bigger right now, but they're about very comparable. I taught at Woodland Hills High School, which, again, it's just like Plum High School. A little bit demographics, a little bit different, but it's a lot like Plum High School. A lot of good kids there, and I had a good time teaching there also. But I'm very happy where I'm at now at Plum.
We like to hear it. We like to have you here. All right, question number 4. What's your favorite part about being a teacher?
Getting new students every year. It's kind of nice. it seems people think it might be boring because sometimes you teach the same subject every year, same content every year, but it's with a whole new group of kids, and they have all the same, sometimes the same difficulties, sometimes new difficulties with the material, and it kind of keeps it fresh because you got a whole new set of kids every year.
Very interesting. Question number 5. What made you want to wrestle in college?
They paid for me to go to school, so that was a wonderful thing. So I kept wrestling in college. That's the reason I wrestled in college. If you can have them pay you to do anything to go to college, I recommend doing so.
Absolutely. Question number 6. What were some of your accomplishments in your wrestling career?
More high school and lower than high school than college. In college, my senior year, I had a really good senior year. I only lost 3 matches all year, and then going into the ACC tournament, I was a little bit injured, and ended up blowing out my knee in the ACC finals. So it didn't quite end the way I wanted it to. It didn't end on my terms, but that was probably the best is my record my senior year before I got hurt. 3 people I beat that year were All-Americans, which unfortunately I wasn't, but I beat some All-Americans before I got hurt. So
Very impressive. Question number 7. What was your regular practice routine like through college? What was your favorite move?
Well, off season, a lot of eating and lifting weights. On season, a lot of running and working out. You run in the morning, wrestling practice, lift before or after practice, depending on the time of the year it was, and then probably run again at night. Probably 5 days a week, 5 out of 7 days I did that. A lot of running.
We all hate running. And our last question, what was your favorite part about wrestling, and what advice could you give your college self if you could go back?
I probably, competing was my favorite part, just competing against other people. And probably the camaraderie with my teammates. I still keep in touch with a lot of them. Go back to Clemson every 3 or 4 years to visit with my friends from college, which is a lot of fun. I probably would tell myself, don't wrestle my freshman year in redshirt, so that I'd have an extra year of eligibility. The way the rules are now, I wouldn't have had to tell myself that, because getting hurt my senior year, I would have got another year of eligibility. But back when I was in college, it didn't work that way. So I would have definitely sat out my freshman year, not wrestled, and then I would have been able to wrestle my 5th year at college.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Mr. Miller. We're going to send it back to the studio.
Hi, I'm Rylan Kramer here with Mr. Russo, teacher at Plum Senior High School. How are you doing today, Mr. Russo?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today, Rylan?
I'm doing well, thank you. When did you first start teaching and where?
I first started teaching at a school that's called the Academy. It was an alternative school. I worked there for about a year and 2 summers teaching science, and that's when I first started getting involved in teaching. It was my first job.
That's cool. What is your favorite subject and why?
I really like teaching biology, but I enjoy teaching the forensics class that I've been teaching for the last 2 years here at the high school. It gives me a little bit of an opportunity to talk about something that's science related, not necessarily just strictly science where it becomes verbatim all the time with just terms and processes and things like that.
Yeah. How is teaching going for you this year?
I think it's going pretty well. I think that most of the kids really enjoy the subject, especially with the forensics. Because there's such a large enrollment this year with that class. That this year I have 91 kids in 3 classes, which is kind of like a testimony, I think, to how much that they feel like that they would enjoy the class, especially most of them are juniors.
Yeah. Do you like teaching at the high school more than the middle school? If so, why?
I've taught high school age kids probably more so than I have junior high school age kids. I think that a lot of times that with the high school age kids, there can be a little bit more of a camaraderie, a little bit more of a way to be able to relate a little bit better than kids who are a lot younger. And so I kind of like that idea about, building that kind of a relationship.
That's cool. If you weren't teaching, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't teaching, what would I be doing? More than likely that I really enjoy football quite a bit. I try to make a career within it to a certain extent. I do have a master's degree in athletic administration. I'd probably be an athletic director someplace at a high school, or maybe working at a college football program.
That's cool. How do you feel about students not being able to use the school Wi-Fi on their phone?
I find it kind of difficult in a lot of ways, because I think that students should have the ability to be able to do that, especially with the hall pass. It makes it a lot easier to be able to do an electronic hall pass as opposed to handwriting a hall pass. And also at the same time, it allows us to be able to have a little bit more flexibility with things, that if they don't have Chromebook or something like that, that they can use their phone. And so having that flexibility allows us to be able to do more things.
Yeah, that's smart. Are you excited for the rest of the school year?
Absolutely, because you never know what's going to happen next. I think that's one of the things kind of nice about being able to teach is that, and I really like seeing the growth of kids and what they can accomplish within within the time frame that they have. How seniors are able to go forth and accomplish some of the goals they have while they're here in school, and some of the underclassmen too.
Yep. What do you enjoy doing in your free time when you aren't at school?
I'm kind of I like to work out regularly. I go to the Y. I like to lift weights. That's been kind of like a common thing for me for a long, long time. Most kids who go down to the Y, they usually see me there, kind of like semi-regularly. I like to go to sporting events when I have opportunity. When we have football games here or basketball games here at the high school, I like to go to those.
All right. Thank you for your time. That's all the time we have. Back to you in the studio, Mr. Brock.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gia Tavella, TV3 student here at Plum High School. Today I'm here with Miss Eseni, a science teacher here at the high school. Miss Eseni, how are you today?
Good, I'm doing well, thank you.
What made you want to become a teacher?
I've always enjoyed kids, and I've always loved to learn. I actually got started teaching later in life, so I did a few things before I became a teacher, so I'm glad I made the move.
That's awesome. What is your favorite type of science and why?
I love biology. Biology is my favorite. I love nature. The things I do in my own life, like cooking or gardening or photography, involve nature as well. So I do enjoy the biology.
That's cool. I love biology too. How was your transition from middle school to high school?
That transition had multiple parts. First of all, anytime you change what you're teaching, that's a huge undertaking. And switching buildings, but I'm grateful to my colleagues for welcoming me here. Also, I've just loved seeing all the students that I've had in the past. It was just so nice coming in to see them grown up and in the next stages of their life.
Yeah, that seems like a big change. What is the main goal for your students in your classroom?
I want them to have an appreciation for nature and our environment, and I want them to do well in biology for the Keystone exam, but that's not my main goal. My main goal is just helping people to be who they're meant to be, whatever their life takes on, and ready to go from there.
That's cool. Is there anything you miss about O Block?
I miss my faculty friends. we were indeed a family over there, and I do miss my friends over there for sure.
What do you personally enjoy most about teaching?
I like seeing people change and grow in a school year. They really can improve a lot in a long way, you know, in a course of a year, and I enjoy seeing that growth.
I agree. What was the biggest difference between teaching at O Block compared to the high school now?
The high school is just so much bigger. It's bigger, it's more focused on what people are going to do in their next stage of their life. It's definitely more academic rigor, and it provides a lot of opportunities for people to see what they might be interested in down the line.
If you could teach any other subject, what would it be and why?
Well, let me just say I'm not qualified to teach this, but I would love to teach music or the arts. I have a passion for both, and just all that they bring to a person.
I love music too. Okay, that's all the time we have today. Miss Eseni, thank you so much, and have a great day. Let's send it back to the studio.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nick Saluk, and I'm here with chemistry teacher, Mr. Jasper. So, Mr. Jasper, I have a few questions for you. How long have you been a teacher for?
23 years.
Where did you go to college, and what year did you graduate?
I went to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I graduated in 1996.
What made you want to be a teacher?
My dad was a teacher, and that's pretty much it.
Have you ever had a different teaching job, and if so, where?
I did spend 1 year at a small school in Ebensburg called Central Cambria High School.
How many subjects have you taught in your entire teaching career?
General chemistry, honors chemistry, AP chemistry, and intermediate science.
Big science guy over here. What is your favorite part about teaching?
There's a lot that I like, but just, whenever you give a test or something and scores are good, it makes it feel like what you taught the kids, they actually absorbed, and that helps.
What do you like to do outside of teaching?
I play old man baseball.
Did you play any sports in high school, and if so, what sports?
Yes, I played both baseball, and I was a pretty good basketball player as well.
That's all the time we have today. Back to you in the studio, Mr. Barat.
Hi, my name's Lena Tavella, and today I'm interviewing Plum High School teacher, Mr. Bergit. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Since you're a new teacher, everyone's wondering, why did you decide to choose Plum High School?
So I actually grew up in the Pittsburgh area. I went to Hempfield Area High School, and ever since I was in high school, I knew about Plum and knew it was a great school to come to. So it was on my list of schools to look for employment. So as soon as I saw a job opening, it was kind of second nature just to go right for it. So.
For sure. It's good to know. So you teach geoscience and physics. What made you want to teach these subjects?
Well, ever since I was in high school, I fell in love with the subject of physics. So I pursued a career in physics, and somewhere around my junior year of college, I decided I wanted to teach high school physics. So coming here, my goal was to teach physics, and on the first day that I worked here, they told me I was teaching geoscience as well. So I guess I got a second love for geoscience, knowing that they wanted me to teach the classes. So.
Definitely. You got to do what you got to do. But what subject would you say is the hardest one to teach, and why?
I think both are hard in their own right. Physics is difficult because of the curricular integrity of it. Geoscience is tricky because it is not what I studied for. I was not in college to study for geoscience, so it's kind of a learning curve for me to teach geoscience. But each in their own right is a little tricky.
It's definitely difficult. What is the number one new thing that you learned since you started teaching or in college or anything like that when it came to teaching students?
I think the number one thing I learned is how much work it really is. I think you as students only see a small piece of the puzzle. The work doesn't stop when we go home. I think it only begins. And I think in order to be the teacher that I can be, it takes a lot of work hours outside of the school to put something in front of the students every day.
So you definitely gained a lot more respect for your teachers. But which college did you decide to go to, and for how many years did it take you to become a science teacher?
So I went to Clarion University of Pennsylvania, and I completed my degree in 4 years.
That's impressive. So moving on from the school stuff, you started intramurals. What made you want to start that, and what could you explain what intramurals are to people that might not know?
So I've always been interested in sports. Throughout my whole entire life, I've played 12 different sports. And actually, I wasn't the one who took an initiative. Actually, our superintendent was the one that took the initiative on intramurals. And he came to me knowing my love for sports in order to run and operate them. Now, what intramurals are is it's an opportunity for students who do not want to commit to a Plum Borough regulated sporting team to come out and participate in a recreational sports activity after school. So what I want to do is, my goal is to try to make everybody feel included and get an opportunity to play and participate in sports after school.
That's really nice. But so it seems really popular this year, but what do you expect for the future? How do you think the turnout will be next year?
So my only hope is that it grows. This year, since it is kind of the first year we're running things officially, I plan on only doing about 5 sports. Next year, I hope to see that grow into maybe 10 sports and maybe get a little bit more of an opportunity to play on different locations like the main gym or the football field. Right now, we're kind of a secondhand thought as far as playing in the fields off to the side. I would love to be kind of considered a critical part of the school and getting an opportunity to play on the bigger and better fields.
It's definitely good for the students. But that's all we have today. My name is Lena Tavella, and that's Mr. Bergit, and let's send it back to the studio.
Hello, Mr. Betta. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here to interview you about your teaching career.
All right.
How many years have you been teaching?
This is my 8th year.
What do you like most about teaching at the high school?
The maturity level, the content is a little higher, and the coworkers are nice.
What made you want to teach?
I like math. It came easy to me, and I could explain it, so I went into teaching.
Do you have any funny memories?
At previous school, I dressed up in Spirit Week, and it was backwards day, so I put all my clothes on backwards and didn't realize how difficult it was to go about your day with all your clothes on backwards.
What is your favorite part about teaching?
The aha moment, when my students actually get the content that I've been trying to teach them.
Have you ever taught at another school?
I taught at a school near Clarion when I first started.
How did you know you wanted to teach?
When I actually got into my calculus class and realized that I could make the connections before I was taught it, and that sort of clicked for me that I knew how to explain things to myself, which then led into being able to explain to others.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Clarion University.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Back to the studio.
Hi, I'm Savannah Kay, and I'm here with Plum High School physics teacher, Mr. Supak. What made you want to become a teacher, and why physics?
I like working with other people, and the teaching profession allows you to do that. I like physics and I like math, so physics was obviously a good subject to teach.
Nice. How have the students changed over the time of your teaching career?
There are a lot of similarities. What's changed the most is like the things they have with them. Like there's like cell phones and AirPods and all that stuff now. So like before, we didn't have as much technology to deal with, but pretty much the same overall.
How do you like to spend your summers?
I like doing stuff outside. I go hiking, my bike, and we could travel a lot.
Nice. What is your favorite memory from high school or college?
Just being around friends and stuff, just spending time with them.
Nice. And last question, do you have any advice for students starting their senior year?
Have fun, but make sure you get all your work done and you're still taking your study seriously.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Supak, and back to the studio.